Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus have been out for about a year, and I thought I'd do my follow-up review and talk about how they've held up and how they've worn and things like that. Now this one has been used with a screen protector and a case on the entire time. This one has not, so we'll talk about the differences in that. Now both of these are great devices. They have the same processors that the iPhone 10 does, and honestly they don't feel slow, especially now that they've got iOS 12 on them. So they're not slow. You're not going to have any problems loading apps. Everything's going to be nice and smooth. And the only difference between these two devices really is the camera on the back here. You'll see the camera is a dual camera on the 8 Plus and the single camera on the 8. And then the only other difference on this one is the screen size, obviously, and a little bit higher resolution on the 8 Plus. And other than that, not really too much of a difference. Battery is going to be a little bit better on the bigger one just because it's got room for a larger battery. Other than that, they're the same thing. It's the culmination of everything we loved about the older iPhones brought into a more mature iPhone with wireless charging. And if I take this off, this has had a case on it the entire time and a screen protector, and this one has not. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But you can see this is the silver one, and this has held up really well because it's had a case on it, an Apple case in particular. You're not going to see any scuffs around the outside edges or anything like that. And of course, because it's had a screen protector on it, same thing. It may have been dropped from time to time, but it's been protected. There's really no signs of wear. If I take the screen protector off, you'd never know it. So I'll link the screen protector below. It's not a real expensive one. It's just one I picked up on Amazon. So they seem to work. And when they crack like this one, I replace them and they're not terribly expensive. So I'll link those. But it has wireless charging. It feels good in the hands. It's solid. It's heavy because it's glass front and back. And you get the same experience on the 8 Plus. Now the 8 Plus, that's a space gray 8 Plus. And this one has not had a screen protector or case on it most of the time. You can see there's some fingerprints on the back, and that's one thing you'll notice with the darker finish is you'll get more fingerprints. But actually the metal, the aluminum here, has held up really well. Not really any scratches, even though I used it without a case for quite some time. You're not going to see scratches there or anything like that. But you will see some light scratches on the back, maybe right here. I don't know if you can see that, but there are some scratches there. And then on the front as well. Let me turn it on here. But in certain light, you can see it. There are some light scratches and actually a little bit deeper scratch right there that you can feel with your fingernail. But unless you're in really bright sunlight, it's right there. Unless you're in really bright sunlight, you're never going to see it. And honestly, I would rather use the phone like this and have it kind of how it was made to begin with. I just kind of like the textures. But if you're prone to dropping a phone, especially this one, because it's glass on the back, be sure to get a case, because that's one thing that after a year later, I know people that have shattered this, and it's multiple hundreds of dollars to get the back glass replaced. The front glass is about $150, but if you shatter this back glass, you might as well forget it, put a case on it and forget about it, or a skin, because to get it replaced, you might as well almost get a new phone. Now, aside from that, the speed is great because it's only been out a year. It's running the same processor as the iPhone 10. It runs really fast. There's no issues, and because they've come out with new phones, or are in a couple of days, the iPhone XS and XS Max, those devices have a newer processor. This one drops in price a little bit. So these now range from $599 with 64 gigabytes with the 8, up to $850 with 256 gigabytes on the 8 Plus. So basically the same storage options are available on the larger size for $100 more. So 256 for $750 on this one. Now they're both not cheap phones, but they're both still really good. And a lot of people still prefer Touch ID. And Touch ID works reliably, at least, in fact, it works better for me personally than Face ID. I know a lot of people love Face ID on the iPhone 10, but with the new phones, that's all you get. If you prefer the Touch ID, especially in the mornings, it's a lot better. I really prefer the Touch ID, but they're not going to have that. So maybe one day it will be integrated under the screen, but right now it's not. And I think for those that still want Touch ID, this is the phone to get. Either one of these, because they're less expensive, they've got wireless charging, and they're both great devices, and they're both still available. In fact, I was in the Apple store today and someone picked up a 7 Plus. So they're not going away. They'll be supported for years. Just like the iPhone 5S is still supported and it's multiple years old, so will the 8 Plus. but you do lack things like Animoji and Memoji that use the Face ID cameras to do that. Other than that, you've got all the other features, Apple Pay, the wireless charging, like I said. So they're great phones. I definitely recommend picking them up, and they're super fast because iOS 12 sped them up even further. No problems opening apps. Things just load quickly. Multitasking works great. There's not really any slowdown ever. So go in here, go here, update. You'll see things just fly. I never really have any slowdowns, no lockups, and battery life is great on both of them as well, especially the Plus model. So there's not much more to say other than that I highly recommend them. After about a year or so, your battery should be down to about 90% battery health. I know a lot of people ask me about that. This is my iPhone 8 Plus. It's at 99%. Let's check this one. You'll see this one has been used a little bit more heavily. It's down to 95% after 1 year. That's completely fine. As long as it stays at about 80% or more, you're good and you don't need a battery replacement. So that's pretty much it with these. So I've been using these happily. I really like them, and I know quite a few people that prefer these over the 10, although I do miss the swipe gestures when I use this phone. But it's a great phone, solid, reliable, and that's about it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe and like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.